Hey, let's talk about the movie we're here for. The Fall Guy. Whoops, Lori. we're fighting buttons here. The Fall Guy. Yeah. Hey, Dante, why don't you give us the quick rundown on this one?
Yeah, so the fall gay, Jesus Christ. By the way, that was not a Freudian slip. There's nothing gay about the Fall Guy. Well, not that I can remember. But no, the Fall Guy was it's one of those remakes that are loosely based on the original, right? Kind of like 21 Jump Street, how the movies had nothing to do with the show. It's one of those remakes, basically. Starsky and Hutch had nothing to do with, Ben Stiller, had nothing to do with the old 70s show. The Fall Guy is a loosely based reboot, I guess, of the old Lee Majors televised Fall Guy show, which I watched all the time when I was younger, man. I had a huge crush on Heather Locklear, or was it Heather Thomas? It was Heather Thomas, right?
Heather Thomas, yes.
Yeah, Heather Locklear was in
T.J. Hooker.
T.J. Hooker, right? You know what? Back in the day, I confused those two girls all the time. So,
absolutely.
And by the way, they were like the hotties of the time, man. Like Heather Locklear was smoking, but no, it was a remake of that, and it's about a stuntman who gets mixed up in this. God, I don't even know how to say it. Like this.
It's kind of like a missing actor.
Missing actor that he needs to find. The guy that he does the stunt work for. It turns out to be more complicated than that because I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to talk about this movie without giving it away.
Right.
Because there's things that literally I can give away right now that I'm trying not to do.
Yeah, I would just go up to the point where he's where he has to go search for the actor.
Yeah, so he's a stunt man. Something happens at the beginning of the film where he gets put out of commission for a while, so he hasn't worked for a while. He gets a call to like get back into the game, get back into stunt work. He takes it, but then he gets caught up in something that he didn't want to get caught up in, and then hilarity ensues from there.
All right, yeah. I'll say this. Wasn't watching a lot of TV when I was in high school because I was in high school and apparently I was doing way too much work in high school compared to high schoolers today because the Fall Guy came out right during those high school years. So I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I did love Lee Majors as Cody Sievers. Yeah, Sievert. Just because of $6 Million Man. And yeah, Heather Thomas was hot. But it was basically in the TV show. He was a stuntman whose side gig was a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
and the Jody character was a kind of a bounty hunter in training as opposed to the director here. I'll just say, for the most part, I like this movie. I had fun with it. I had issues with it, but you're not really watching this movie necessarily for the plot. You are watching it for the big stunt action set pieces. You're watching it for a little bit of intrigue, and you're also watching it for any chemistry that Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt have. And I think for the most part, it worked here.
It worked for me.
Yeah, like there's a segment in the middle of the movie where they play around with the split screen. They call it out, and I thought it was like that was probably the most nostalgic moment I had in this movie because I had. That split screen device, you saw in a lot of the 60s kind of cool and hip television shows and movies. And here they kind of bring that back. And I think for the most part, it worked. I will say that the only real issue I had with this movie is the Ryan Gosling character, because he seemed kind of, I'll describe him as the modern male. The one who is overly in touch with his feelings and emotions, and the one who is hypersensitive of his toxic masculinity and fights like the devil to keep it at bay, and lets it slip once in a while here. There is this battle of wills between his character and Emily Blunt's character in terms of who has the dominance in the relationship. And you know, that's I'm not a big fan of how it's being played out in movies today, and it certainly is played out that way here. But other than that, I did like the stunt sequences. I think in terms of the look and feel of it, it feels. I like the fact that it's mostly practical. I would say probably most likely it's 100% practical, and I kind of miss those days. And what you see now in these practical effects is it's a step back from the overblown effects that you get with these practical slash hybrid CG movies. I would definitely give Fall Guy a recommendation. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I felt like they did touch on that towards the end of the film about how practical effects versus the big CGI stuff. I feel like they did talk about that. No, I agree with you. I think. Well, okay, I disagree on some level. I don't think he was very good at conveying his feelings in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was part of the problem between him and Emily Blunt. Um,
Yeah.
I
Well, and
felt
it
like
was also the plot device. It was part of the plot.
right. I felt like him and Emily Blunt did have a lot of chemistry together, which was good. I didn't feel like she was a girl boss. Like I felt like she wanted to be a girl boss, but she really wasn't, and she was really good at portraying that as someone who should be a girl boss, but she's not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like Emily Blunt did a great job. I didn't love this film. I think a lot of people who I talked to who have seen like earlier versions really liked it. I thought it was okay. Eh, Look, I felt like I knew what I was getting into, right? I knew there was going to be a lot of slapstick. I knew there was going to be a lot of inside baseball, right? And I tend not to like those kind of movies that are too inside baseball because it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, and I know you're trying to talk, you're trying to explain this, the film industry to people who aren't in the film industry. But for me, it gets a little tiresome, basically. So I tend not to like films like that. But this was a comedy. It was a comedy. There were some good moments. I love that Aaron Taylor Johnson is playing like this Logan Paul type character, and great played a great douchebag. Too good almost. And but I didn't love the film. I walked away feeling like, okay, that was enjoyable. It was fun. I would definitely recommend it. It's a fun date movie. Definitely a date movie. Guys, grab a girl, go watch it, or whatever you're into. Go grab a date and go watch the film. It's enjoyable, but you're not going to be. It's not going to give you that big blockbuster fix that you probably want in like a summer movie, right? And I know we're
Mm-hmm.
not in summer yet, but it feels like a summer movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in seeing the gender breakdown of the Fall Guy over the weekend because I feel like that Ryan Gosling here is the movie is uh, has put a lot of money in the fact that Ryan Gosling was Ken and Barbie last summer, and that I think that I wonder how much of that carryover will occur, and I feel like this movie is in large part aimed at that audience, that Ken audience.
Oh,
Obviously, they weren't.
absolutely.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
they weren't planning on that, but I think it's going to benefit from that. Oh, you're going to
Yeah,
say?
no, I think all the girls who fell in love with him and Barbie are going to go watch this movie.
Yeah, because I think he's playing a lot more sensitive Ken in this movie.
Yeah.
And then it's I'm not sure that men are going to feel the same way about Emily Blunt that women will feel about Ryan Gosling at the end of it. Not to say that Emily Blunt, is not attractive and is not appealing, but I think I think the female factor in this movie is very high.
Also, and it's weird because Emily Blunt is a very attractive woman.
Mhm.
But I feel like in this film she does play a very what's the word I'm looking for? A very attainable
Oh yeah,
woman. You know
that's a
what
good
I
word.
mean? Like
Yeah, that's a good word.
like it doesn't seem like the way she acts and the way she dresses, and she doesn't seem hard to get. Is what I'm trying to say, right?
Mhm.
Um, but in a good way though, right? Like she's very relatable. She's very kind of like normal girl, normal woman, but she's not playing like this, like sex vixen. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's approachable for women going to go watch the movie. and they get to see Ryan Gosling without a shirt on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for to your point, where rom-coms and romances, the appeal for men is usually in that female character. A, is she super hot, or B, is she attainable? And I think you've got to go kind of in one direction or the other. And if you can make that super hot woman who is definitely unattainable attainable, then you've got a movie that will appeal to men.
That is the magic right there.
Yeah. And I swear we're going to get canceled for this video. I'm just like, aren't we talking common sense? Isn't that?
No. Honestly, we are probably giving the best review for this movie that people are going to get, because we're being very honest about it in a way that most critics are not going to be honest about it. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're not saying it's a bad movie. We're saying go watch it. But just know this is what you're getting into.
Yeah. Well, in my review on Friday, or for my review yesterday of this, it's definitely a date movie.
Yeah.
It is a date movie. And I will just final word. I miss practical stunts. I Fast and Furious, I'll always harp on this. The Fast and Furious is a animated adult live action movie. Because you can't do those stunts in real life. And here you have stunts being done practically. People being hit, people being, dropped from very high heights. I miss that. Practical will always be better than CGI.
And I love the fact that the guy who directed the film was a stuntman himself, which is really cool. I can't remember his name right now, but
David Leitch.
Yeah, he was actually a stuntman. So, and I love the little homage at the end, where they're like showing like the practical stunts and how they did them, and
the Jackie Chan post credit scenes. And then yes, there's a cameo from Lee Majors and Heather Thomas.
See, I wasn't going to spoil that, but you did.
I mean, how do you? First of all, it's not a spoiler. Final thoughts, Dante.
Final thoughts. Look, this is a popcorn flick. Okay, there's not a lot in the theaters right now that are really worth watching. So, like I said, man, grab a date, go watch this movie. She'll have fun, you'll have fun, and it won't be a waste of your time.